Welcome to Franchise Marketing Radio, brought to you by SeoSamba. Comprehensive high-performing marketing solutions for mature and emerging franchise brands. To supercharge your franchise marketing, go to SeoSamba.com. That's SeoSamba.com.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Franchise Marketing Radio, and this is going to be a good one. Today on the show, we have Tim Fagan with 1-800-WATER-DAMAGE and Blue Kangaroo Packoutz. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you, Lee.
Well, I'm excited to learn what you're up to. Let's start off with 1-800-WATER-DAMAGE. Tell us about that franchise.
Well, that's a franchise that primarily responds to residential and commercial water losses, and they dry out the houses or dry out the buildings, and then many of the times we put them back to pre-loss condition. Depends how much damage is done, but most of the time the franchise can work with the homeowner or the business property manager to get the place back to pre-loss condition.
So now, was this company developed as a mom and pop and then turned into a franchise, or was it built to be a franchise all along?
No, it started in the 90s in Seattle as a mom and pop, and they developed some marketing strategies, particularly among plumbers, marketing plumbers, because plumbers often are some of the first calls when water damages take place. And then they developed a franchise, and the franchise grew. And in 2015, BELFOR Franchise Group purchased 1-800-WATER-DAMAGE.
And how many units are there?
There's 93 units and about 178 territories currently.
Wow. So is the growth across the United States, or is it in certain regions?
It's across the United States. I mean, I can't point to one region of the U.S. and say, hey, we're growing in the Southeast, but not in the Northwest, or et cetera. It's all over the country.
So is the water damage typically from flooding, or like you mentioned, a plumbing problem?
Yes, all the above. Sometimes CAT events, catastrophe events, where you have significant localized flooding. Sometimes you have, like in the in Texas, Oklahoma area last year, where they had, or this year actually, I think it was in March of this year, where they had extensive cold and pipe freezes. And then you have anytime there's water that runs into a building, and that's almost every building we have now. It isn't if the pipe's going to leak, it's when, whether that's fire suppression systems or toilets or sinks or ice makers, lines that go to refrigerators. They all release water at some point or another.
And then is the franchisee typically the plumber, that this is another revenue stream for them, or it's somebody that works with plumbers?
No, it's rarely a plumber that's the franchisee. Most of the time, they will work with plumbers. They'll work with insurance agents. They'll work with property management companies to get referrals. Sometimes they get referrals online from people searching online. So they won't get all their referrals from one source.
So what is their kind of background? Do they have to be, is this like a hands-on thing, or this is somebody who hires the folks that go in and deal with the damage?
So the background of the franchisee are all over the board. Usually there's a couple things that we look for when we talk to them. I mean, they show interest, and then we interview them and recruit them, and we look for a few things. One, because this is a 24/7 business, Lee. It's not like normal businesses.
Right. Like this isn't if you only want to work in the mornings. This is right. This stuff happens when it happens.
It happens when it happens, and the expectation is that you're going to respond immediately to people's needs. So their ability to adapt. I mean, typically people that like working 9 to 5 and that's it, and they hang the shingle and says store closed, they don't do real well in this industry.
I'd imagine that's not conducive to that kind of it's not a lifestyle business. This is like you're on call all the time.
Yeah, and it is a lifestyle. And what drives you said what attracts people to it. If you have that helper heart, that helper gene, that you always wanted to help people, some of the same reasons people get into nursing or get into first responder, being in an ambulance or law enforcement or fire service, those kind of people, teachers, they love this kind of business because, you get paid to respond and you get paid pretty well for making somebody's worst day okay again in a fairly short amount of time.
Right. That's a great way to frame it because it's probably best suited for the folks that kind of who want to go into those situations and help and really, like you said, kind of make that person's worst day a good day, to make it more manageable and to see a light at the end of the tunnel. Because every day I'm sure folks are just really appreciating them and for the work they're doing, how they just got them out of a bind.
That's right. And that's what motivates them. And that's why they get up at 2 a.m. on those cold winter nights and say, hey, I got to go, honey. We got a water damage on the other side of town. And that really is. That's what energizes them and gives them endorphin rushes.
So now, is it hard to find those folks, or are they finding you because they're searching for this kind of opportunity?
Yeah. For the most part, they reach out to us. We have no idea if they're interested at all. They find us online or they find us through a business broker, and then we get a chance to talk to them about what are you looking for. And I can't tell you how many guys we have in the system that were former corporate accountants or owned franchises that did tax accounting or something, but they want something that is a little more where they feel that they're making a significant difference.
Right? Because it'll have an impact. Like this is something that you see what it looks like today, and then tomorrow it's going to look a lot better, and you can say I did that.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it's a lot like we have 6 kids at home, and my wife mows the lawn, and it's because she says that in a short amount of time it makes a big difference, and it'll stay that way for a little while. And that's some of the same reasons that our guys get into this business, is that in a short amount of time, you're right, it can go from chaos to order and make a frown, from a frown to a happy face on a customer's smile.
So now let's talk a little bit about Blue Kangaroo Packoutz. What is that franchise?
So that is along the same lines. On an insurance deck page, which is a cover page of an insurance policy, it often talks about your structure, which is basically if you took a building or a house and tipped it upside down and shook everything out of it, anything that fell out or with contents, that's called personal property in your insurance policy. And the stuff that didn't fall out is called structure. And so we handle at Blue Kangaroo Packoutz the personal property stuff that may get damaged in a claim, whether it be a fire or a flood or a sewer backup, or a skunk, ran through the house. That doesn't happen very often, but it happens often where a dog gets sprayed, a pet gets sprayed by a skunk, and the dog runs through the house and rubs on everything because he's trying to get the musk off of them. And ultimately, those are not very good days for those homeowners. But thank God there's people like us that we can come in and either clean it on site or remove that furniture and get it ozone treated and cleaned and then delivered back to the homeowner.
Now, is that the franchisee, the similar kind of personality, the person that likes to go into a crisis and help and then really make a difference in a short period of time?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they do, just in a different way. And while it's a 24/7 business, the occurrence of getting called outside of business hours is much less than it is at 1-800-WATER damage.
Right. So when you're tired of waking up at 3 a.m, you can go over to Blue Kangaroo, and then that's more of a normal kind of workday situation.
Typically it is, but disasters happen, as we all know, at all times. And you still need to have an on-call crew that you can mobilize at a moment's notice.
Sure. Now, talk about the training. Is the training similar? Obviously, there are different things that they have to do, but it sounds like you're dealing with a same type of personality of an individual. Is the training kind of along the same lines?
The training in both cases, so I'll share similarities first, and then I'll share differences. So the similarities is that both of those trainings take place with a combination of hands-on and classroom. BELFOR has a state-of-the-art flood house that we built from the ground up. And not only BELFOR property restoration, but Packoutz and 1-800-WATER damage train in that house. And that house has been flooded, upwards of 50 times, each time with over 1,200 gallons of water. So we work on a real house, both from a contents perspective and packing the house out, and securing the furniture and getting into a secure environment or a stable environment, as well as working on the house and the water damage itself on the structure side, including crawl spaces. So these are all things that kind of make the training unique. So when they get out of our 13-day training, they're ready to hit the road. Now, they don't have the relevant experience. They have some because they did, a pack out or a water damage at our flood house, but they're ready to hit the road with the equipment that they need. And then with the support behind them, to just call for help if you need it. It seems to work out very well. And again, my background as a school administrator, in a degree in teaching and 2 master's degrees in educational leadership. I know that people are different kind of learners. Some do a great job in the classroom, and they can learn a lot from a teacher in a classroom or from opening a book. But there's a great population of people that are kinesthetic learners that learn hands-on, and that's how they best learn. And so the classroom, we kind of introduce them to the concepts, but then we take them right from there to the flood house or to our store number 1 at Contents Packout in Mount Clemens, Michigan, and then they get actual hands-on guided practice training. So it's very effective, and it works out real well.
And then even if they just started and they had gone through your training, I'm sure if they ran into a situation, one of the benefits of being part of a franchise network like this is that there's someone to call that's probably seen it and done it already.
Well, and again, that's back to the lifestyle. So the regional business coaches that we have, guess what field they came out of? The restoration field. So they know what it's like to answer the call at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. or during your kid's birthday or a holiday. And that's an expectation that we have, is that, and including myself, my phone never goes off, because when they need help, it's typically now. It's not like, hey, call me on Monday. I know it's morning, but I'm in the middle of a job and I need some support. And it's also a great thing about being part of the BELFOR family, is that there's no job that we have to turn away from that is too big or too complex, or nobody in the company has ever done that or knows how to handle that. We have a tremendous network out there of the world's largest property restoration company, largest by a lot, not by a little. And so that network, they tap into that network, and there should be no jobs that we turn away from because we're a little bit intimidated by it.
Now, is there an incentive for a potential franchisee to combine both of these brands?
There is. We rarely, I can't think of anybody who's come in and tried to learn both at the same time. We do have franchisees that have started with one, and most of them are in the 800 water damage. They start with that, and then they find out how much of the contents work they're referring out. And if I could do that myself, then they end up buying into an 800 water or Blue Kangaroo Packoutz and combine that with their 800 water damage business. And those have been really successful.
So now, what is the trend for your firm the rest of the year? Are you kind of bullish with how this year's ending and how next year's beginning in terms of growth?
We've had tremendous growth, both growth in our average office and gross sales. I mean, if you were to look at our gross sales from 18 to today, you would not be able to see that there was a pandemic in the middle of it. You would think, wow, that's a heck of a hockey stick growth of that franchise. So, and that growth continues as we look into franchise development or the sales funnel for more franchisees coming in. That funnel's fairly full. And so, in at least foreseeable future, we're going to continue to add franchisees to the system and putting new owners through our training.
Yeah, because these kind of issues, they don't care if there's a pandemic or not.
No. I mean, they don't care if there's a recession. They don't care.
Exactly.
This still happens. People typically will still buy insurance for their property because for the value that they get and the peace of mind they get for having insurance, to protect their property. So that will still be there, regardless of what, or irregardless of the economy, out the window.
So now if somebody wants to learn more about either of these opportunities, is there one website or two websites?
Well, they can go to you can go to either one of the Blue Kangaroo Packoutz website or the 1-800 water damage website. Or if they want to see what other options are available through BELFOR Franchise Group, they can go to that website as well.
Well, Tim, thank you so much for sharing your story today. You're doing important work, and we appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Lee, and thanks for having me on.
All right, this is Lee Cantor. We'll see y'all next time on Franchise Marketing Radio.